numbers list to print an L here. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to take a closer look at lists. So I'm going to define a list of names. Let's set them to John, Bob, Mosh, Sarah, and Mary. So if we print this list here, what we see on the terminal looks exactly like how we define our list. So we have square brackets, and in between these square brackets, we have our items. So we have 5 strings in this list. Now we can also access an individual element using an index, just like how we can access an individual character in a string using an index. So here we type out square brackets and specify an index. The index of the first item in this list is 0. So let's run this program. There you go. We get John. Now, if you want to print out the third element in this list, its index is 2. So names of 2 returns Mosh. Now we can also pass a negative index here. So -1 refers to the last item in this list, that is Mary. Let's run the program. There you go. We see Mary. If we pass -2, this returns the second item from the end of the list. So let's run the program. There you go. We get Sarah. So this is exactly like accessing individual characters in a string. We can also use a colon to select a range of items. For example, if we pass 2 colon, this will get all the items starting from the index of 2, that is Mosh here, all the way to the end of the string. So let's run this program. There you go. We get this list with 3 items, Mosh, Sarah, and Mary. We can also specify an end index, let's say 4. So this will return all the items up to this index, but it doesn't include the item at this index. So when we run this program, we only see Mosh and Sarah. The item at index 4, which is the 5th element or the 5th item in this list, is not returned. So Mary is not returned, okay? And also here we have default values. So if we leave out the end index, this expression is going to return all the items starting from the index of 2 to the end of the list. Or if you leave out the start index, this expression assumes 0 as the default index, so it will return all the items from the beginning to the end of the list, okay? And by the way, just like strings, these square brackets here don't modify our original list. They simply return a new list. For example, if we pass 2 here, you can see this returns a new list with 3 items. So if we go back here and print our original list of names right after, you can see it's not affected. So whenever we use square brackets with a colon to select a range of items, we get a new list. And by the way, we can also modify any of the elements in this list. For example, let's say we made a mistake and the first item shouldn't be spelled John with an H. So we want to remove the H. That is very easy. So we access it using an index, that is names of 0, and we set it to a new value like this. Now let's print our list. So you can see the first item in this list is now updated. So this is the basics of lists. And here's an exercise for you. I want you to write a program to find the largest number in a list. This is a fantastic exercise for beginners. So go ahead and spend a few minutes on this and then come back, continue watching. All right, let's define a list of numbers with a bunch of random numbers, 3, 6, 2, 8, 4, and 10. Now, to find the largest number in this list, we need to define another variable. Let's call it max. This variable will hold the largest number. Now, initially, we want to assume that the first item in this list is the largest number. So we set max to numbers of 0. We're only assuming that the first item is the largest number. Chances are our assumption is wrong. So we need to iterate over this list. We need to loop through it, get each item, and compare it with max. If it's greater than max, then we need to reset max to that number. So in the first iteration, we get 3, and max is also 3. Is 3 greater than 3? No, so we move on. We get the second number. Is 6 greater than 3? It is, so we need to reset max to 6. Once again, we continue. We get 2. Is 2 greater than 6? No, it's not. So we move on. Then we get 8. Is 8 greater than 6? It is. So we should reset max to 8. That is pretty easy. So here we need a for loop. For number in numbers, colon. Now we need to check to see if this number is greater than max. So if number is greater than max, colon, then we need to reset max. So we set max to this new number. That's all we had to do. So let's print max and run our program. We can see the largest number in this list is 10. It doesn't matter whether this number is at the end of the list or at the beginning. So if I move 10 and put it right at the beginning, we should still see the same result. Let's run our program. We still see 10. If I put this somewhere in the middle, our program should